Well, the Peoria Area Chamber of Commerce, Rob Parks, president of the organization, is here with me today. And the Chamber recently did a study into doing business and development in the Peoria area, or in Peoria specifically, to really talk about the climate of doing business development. Tell me a little bit about what you found, or first, I guess, why did we do this?
Well, there's a perception, there's a lot of conversation that it's hard to do business, to do commercial development in the city of Peoria, and we wanted to see if we could get some specifics about that and find out what is going well, what in the commercial development process works well in Peoria, and what needs some improvement.
And you did focus groups and surveys?
Yes. We started out with 2 focus groups, and then what we learned in the focus groups helped us develop a survey that was then sent out. We had a total of, I think, 83 participants in either focus groups or the survey, and those were developers, lawyers who do development work, architects, engineers, builders, business owners, so a diverse group of people, some who've done many projects in the city, some who've only done one, some who do projects all over the country, some who just develop locally.
And what did we find out? Is it easy or difficult to do?
Well, to some extent it's a mixed bag, but we found that about 44% of our respondents felt it was harder to do a commercial project in the city of Peoria than it is in many of the other communities that they work in.
Okay.
But at the same time, there were about 36% who said it's fairly comparable to other communities they work in. So again, not totally a definitive answer, but 44% saying it's worse. That means we need to look at some things.
And are there any things that came out of this that we may want to consider?
Well, there were some interesting things. One was that overall, people thought the staff in City Hall were technically very competent. They had the knowledge and the ability to work through problems and help them address them. What was a frustration is that they believe the staff needs to have a higher level of authority to make decisions, to approve changes, modifications, as opposed to something that have to go back to the commission or back to the city council for final approval, because that slows down the development process sometimes very significantly.
And one other thing that did get high marks was the one-stop shop that the city does. What, 77% of people thought this was good?
That's correct. 77% of people really liked one-stop shop, but apparently this isn't done in all communities by any means. At the same time, there was sort of a caveat with that, because apparently sometimes the staff who come to one-stop don't have the knowledge or the authority, probably most of the authority, to help make decisions, and they need to make sure they have people in that environment who can say yes and no and keep the process moving.
And also, I guess, a negative that came out of this, if you look at it that way, that a lot of people thought it was a very, very bureaucratic system that we have to go through that makes it difficult to do business.
Correct. We tried to get information about what they thought the culture of development was in the city of Peoria. Were the staff and the council sort of opening their arms and saying, come on down, let's try to make this work? Or was it sort of a, well, yeah, you've got lots of rules to follow? And what we found is people thought, yeah, we've got lots of rules to follow. About 73% found it was overly bureaucratic. And that isn't good, but we did a similar study back in 2003, and then it was practically unanimous that people thought the culture was just very negative and it was not a good place to try to do a development project. So there has been improvement. There's improvement. There's a ways to go, but there has been improvement.
And we've got 3 different recommendations that you're going, actually several recommendations, but 3 that you're going to take back to the city. So finally, wrap us up with what those 3 are.
The 3 key recommendations, there's a few others, but the key ones. First one is there needs to be a point person, a project manager, a project facilitator in City Hall. So when I come in, that person is assigned to me and follows my project all the way through. So if I've run into a roadblock, at least make sure I'm talking to the right person, that this process is moving, it doesn't get stalled. So someone who has accountability for the project, that's one of them. When we did our survey was during the temporary sign sweep that happened not too long ago. And I can tell you the business community came out pretty loud and strong that they understand the issue of clutter of temporary signs, but there has to be a happy medium so we're more contemporary with other communities some of our businesses do business in. And then there needs to be a process for some type of regular review of ordinances and regulations to make sure that the business practices are contemporary, that we're comparable to other competitive cities, and that we make changes when things get out of date. I think several of these recommendations will fit in well with what we've heard from the city manager as he's looking at some reorganization and restructuring of what's going to happen in City Hall. So we'll be continuing to work with the city on these. We hope these are helpful recommendations to them, and we can move the ball forward a little bit further and make it better.
And none of this was done to say we're doing things poorly. It was done to say what can we do to enhance what we are doing. And if people have questions about that, they can contact you at the Chamber office, email, or give you a call, visit the website and get more information. But in the meantime, we'll continue to work with the city and see if we can enhance business here in the area.
That's right.
All right, Rob, thanks.